One of my favorite Elgato products has become the Prompter. In fact, if I can only keep one Elgato product and I had to burn the rest, I would have saved the Prompter. That is, until Elgato released the Prompter XL. It's a prompter, but it's bigger, which changes more than you'd expect it to change. Also, there are some new things on this one. So let's talk about Prompter XL. So the Prompter XL is basically a gigantic version, or an XL version, of Elgato's original Prompter, which released about 2 years ago and has become one of their most popular products. If you're not familiar with the original Prompter, I'll leave a link in the description down below, and also, up in the corner up there if I can remember how to do that. But the basic idea of this thing that made it so unique and stand out is that it's a teleprompter, but instead of having to put your own phone right here, it has a built-in screen that you connect to your computer over one cable. That cable provides both power and the video signal to it. And once you do that, the teleprompter works like a second screen for your computer. So for example, I can take my notes for this video and look, there they are. Don't read those though. This brought a lot of really cool new use cases for teleprompters that were before either not possible or so difficult that just wasn't even worth it. For example, putting your Zoom call directly in the teleprompter, so when you're talking to the person, you're looking directly at them. Or in Elgato's free teleprompter software, they added a Twitch sign-in so you can have Twitch chat directly in front of your camera and look right at your audience as you're answering their questions. I like to use mine as a viewfinder for my camera so I don't catch myself looking next to the lens at the screen, but instead I can see myself, test my lighting, or just the regular one. I actually use it as a teleprompter. But with Elgato's free teleprompter software, not only is it a better experience than most teleprompter apps that you can buy on here, but it's free. And most teleprompter apps are like $60 a year. And at the end of my video on the original teleprompter, I said, Elgato, will we ever get a Prompter XL that is the size of a real monitor? And well, here we are. They even took my name, the Prompter XL. Not even getting any royalties from it. Lawyers, hit me up in the comments. So let's go over what's different about this one, and then the price increase. Let's talk about if it's worth it or if the original is still a better value. There are three main differences on this thing. Obviously, it's larger. We go from 9 inches on the original one to about 15.5 inches on the XL. It's brighter, considerably brighter. It's not. It's not considerably brighter at all. In fact, I don't notice a difference in brightness between the two. The website says the original is 400 nits and the XL is 600 nits, but I don't know if the difference in screen size means that like there's some math going on there where they look the same, but they look the same. And that's not a complaint. The original one was plenty bright and the new one is definitely bright enough to be used as an external monitor. It doesn't look that way through the camera lens, especially since I have a little ND filter going on here, but it is very bright. However, that also means this requires a higher wattage. It needs 15 watts. So if you plug it directly into your computer, it should be no problem. But if you go into a hub, you need to make sure it's a powered hub. I actually had that issue at first and switched ports and now it works fine. And then the last big change is the fact that it's now full HD, which makes sense with the size increase. But now that being a high resolution image, anything you put on there is just much more usable. But what else is different? Let's run over the build of this thing real quick. They made a lot of minor improvements from the first one. The first most notable thing is this display is very easily removable with magnets, which means if you want to use it for a second monitor, it's very easy to pull it off and just mount it somewhere. And then it holds pretty strong when you put it back on. The L mount in the back for putting your camera is, can you see it here? Hold on. There we go. Considerably larger, and it's metal instead of plastic like the last one. Obviously, this one is designed for more production studios, more professional work, being that it's larger. And so you can absolutely put any camera, whatever you want, on the back of this thing. It comes with the same set of step-up rings for you to mount your lens directly to the back of it, because if you don't want to put a shroud over your camera like this, maybe you're worried about overheating, you can just connect it directly to it and block out all the light that way. But with the larger size prompter, if you choose to do what I do and just kind of have the large cutout for you to place your camera in there, the hole is so much larger. It's much easier to fit large lenses directly into the back. So you can push the camera right up to the glass and get a much wider field of view without getting kind of the top and bottom tips of the prompter in your shot. Typically, teleprompters have a hard time shooting a wide angle past 30 to 35 millimeters because you start getting the teleprompter in the shot. You can actually see on both of these, Elgato has added kind of a large gap between the mirror and the monitor. And because of that extra space there, if you push the camera as far in as you can get up to like 17 millimeters, even in open gate. It's pretty wild. For some of you, you don't care about what I just said at all, but for some of you, I know what I just said is the reason you're gonna go out and buy this teleprompter. The one suggestion I have when setting up this thing is I would suggest using some kind of quick release plate. Like I use a whole ball head. Can you see it in the light there? I don't mount the camera directly to the L thing. I put it on a ball head, so it's easy to take the camera on and off, and I have more flexibility with where it aims. Those things are like 10 to 20 bucks on Amazon, and they're a huge quality of life improvement when using something like this. But let's go back to this being larger and why that does a lot more than just bigger screen. I've found a handful of reasons why I can't really go back to the smaller size. One being that it's a larger size in full HD, I can actually properly use it like a second monitor. Like when I'm editing video, I can have my clips browser over there and I can properly see what I'm scrubbing through. And especially with the magnetic mount here, Elgato added a switch into their teleprompter software that allows you to flip the screen backwards. So that way, if you wanted to mount it like this, it wouldn't be mirrored. Another thing a lot of YouTubers are gonna be really happy for is because it's larger, you can set it farther away. I mean, you can get some of those longer focal length lenses, like a 50mm, an 85mm, and get that real blurry background, which you have to set the camera far away to get. Now you can do that. You can set your camera further away and still properly read your script without any issues. Something you couldn't really do before on such a small screen. But for those of you that like the wide angle like I do right now and still want it close, the Elgato software allows you to add margins on the side so the text doesn't go from the entire left to right and you're not reading the script like this when you're up close to it. Those guys kind of think of everything. But does that make it worth double the price? I think it depends on what you're gonna use it for. I think for your average Twitch streamer who this was pretty heavily marketed at, if you just want to throw your Twitch chat in front of your camera next to your gaming monitor, if anything, this is probably going to be a worse experience because of how big it is. Instead, it feels like this product is in line with a lot of their other recent releases where they're branching away from just streamer products and into more professional creation. They've been doing this a lot with their products. Things like the Stream Deck Studio was more designed for professional broadcasting as well. While at the same time, Elgato's doing a good job of maintaining a proper upgrade path. So you start with something like this, and then you get used to using this for your content, you start branching out into other kinds of content with it. When you're ready for something bigger, you've got this going on. It's also worth mentioning that right now, if you buy one of these, it comes with a free CamLink Pro, a 4K 60 capture card for you to plug into your camera and go into your computer. That's typically $100 and that comes for free with this thing. So is the original prompter fulfilling all your needs? Stick with it. They function very, very similarly. But do you need something bigger? Do you want a camera further away? Do you do a lot of Zoom calls and you literally want the best Zoom call experience you've ever had? Well, the Prompter XL is fantastic. It's also worth mentioning, by the way, that this song you've been listening to the entire time is an unreleased Stream Beats track right here. We call the series Hap Hop. Here's the Prompter XL, by the way. You know, hap hop, like happy hip hop. We got a bunch of these unreleased tracks that I'll be releasing soon. If you're not using Stream Beats, it's copyright-free music for all your YouTube videos and live streams, and it's totally free. I'll put a link to that in the description down below as well. And as always, happy streaming. Bye.